Picture yourself suspended in the silence of space. You're a cosmonaut, tethered to a station that holds everything familiar, your routines, your relationships, and yes, even the bullshit. Out here, weightless, you feel the pull to drift higher, to rise above the noise. The tether reminds you you're still connected, but from this vantage point, the small stuff looks smaller, and your oxygen is yours to protect. In today's podcast, we're going to explore what it really means to rise above, psychologically, emotionally, and even spiritually, so you can decide what's your worth and what you're holding on to, and what's just pulling you down. Let's go. Well, hello. What? Hello and welcome to the Tequila Hour on this glorious Saturday afternoon in Australia, New South Wales, in the secret location. If you know, you know. If you've been listening to my podcast long enough, you actually know where the secret location is. Surprise! Anywho, yeah, it is currently 3:01 p.m. in Australia, and yeah, I'm straight into it. I am going to talk about a couple of different running themes that you probably wouldn't recognise from podcasts previous to this one, and it really, the idea of this podcast came off the premise not only of a moment of time or a couple of moments of time that happened or occurred in the last week, but also off the back of a couple of YouTube videos and just a generalised feeling as well. So let's just, first of all, do some motherfucking admin. Yeah, that's right. It is the Tequila Hour, and today I am talking about rising above and being tethered, or just releasing the tether and giving everyone a big giant finger. There's a lot of that going on in my mind today as I speak to you on this glorious Saturday afternoon. But for admin today, just a couple of things. If you have never listened to the podcast before, hi, my name is Amanda. This is the Tequila Hour. This is pretty much my podcast where I talk about things that move me. So it could be one week where I talk about something that moves me quite a lot, being makeup, beauty, and everything skincare and all that wonderful stuff. I was going to say shit. I can, because it's my motherfucking podcast. All of that. I might also deep dive into some subjects that really do intrigue me. I could talk about anything. It really is just all and everything all at once. If you know, you know. Just for admin purposes today, if you are playing along and you need to stop listening to this podcast for a second, then like as in you need to grab a drink to listen to my whining. Today I am still drinking tequila. You'd be like, what, Amanda? Are you serious right now? Yeah, it's true. I know. Again, for those who are legends and listen to this podcast on a regular basis, sometimes I drink tequila, hence the name. It's not rocket science here. Sometimes I drink gin. Sometimes I don't drink anything, not very often, by and by. I think one day I did record a podcast quite early and I was drinking coffee, which I love. That only happened once. Is that a word? Once. In the entire plethora of the podcasts that I have created, we're now at 113. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was only one podcast where I, A, did the podcast in the morning, and B, I drank coffee. So all in all, it's normally tequila. So if you are settling in to listen to my podcast today, grab yourself a drink yourself. Whatever you fancy, grab yourself a snack if you need a snackaroo. Also, if you know, I also drink an energy drink. Oh, yeah, maybe, again, why I speak too fast. Today I've gone back to ye old favourite town, which is Monster Energy Ultra Preachy. I preach, bitch. Peachy Keen. So, yeah, just settle in. Wherever you are, if you're listening to me in the car as you drive around, fuck knows, I don't know where you listen to my voice. You might be, I won't say what. TMI. You could be, I don't know, having a shower. That's not too much TMI. You could be in bed. You could be just in your lounge room. I don't know where you are, but thank you to those who listen. Anyway, let's get into this podcast today. I've done a little bit of admin. You know what I'm drinking. Look, I could touch on the week that was, and part of this podcast is really about the week that was today. And the reason why I created this podcast, and I'm doing like a bonus podcast, who am I, is there has been a couple of moments this week where in reflection I've caught myself. Okay, what do I mean by that? So again, if you've listened to me regularly, there's a lot of things that I've explored in my life around places and people. And for me, there really was one afternoon where I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I did that because I've checked myself. And for me, then that has led me down a place where I've ruminated on, thoughts and feelings around a particular place and a subset of people. And then it's also been that stop check to go, yep, that's why you made the decision that you did. So there's a bit of that going on. And then during the week, I watched a particular a particular YouTube video, and I'll link it to the description for you, just so you have an overarching understanding of where I might be coming from. And I think I've talked about this before, where I do time to time, depending on my mood, and if I'm in a headspace where I'm thinking about me, I was going to say purpose, because that's not what it's about. It's just more about self-examination, and if I'm in a more reflective state of mind, shall we say. It's probably a better way to describe it. Where in this particular video I was watching, that there was a comment, if they shoot the arrows, just fly higher. And it really did resonate with me in that particular moment, because the previous day, I believe, I had spent some time with some people, and then there was one particular moment that really did exactly align. It could have the moment could have happened, and then I could have heard Andy's voice. Andy's the person who did the YouTube video, by the way. Could have heard her voice in my mind, just basically as in just fly higher when people shoot arrows at you. And yeah, it then, like I said, the next day, it was where I was in a state of reflection, and then realizing that, I was feeling a moment that I've experienced many times, and now have been very consonant. Is that consonant? Is that a word? Consonant? Not I don't know. I think I'm saying it wrong, but anyway, who cares? Yeah, I'm very mindful. I was trying to be fancy instead of saying mindful. That, yeah, I've had the same thought and feeling, and acknowledge that I did make a clear choice not to sit in that ever again, or try my best not to, really. I mean, you can't not have feelings. If you don't, then you're probably a robot. I don't know. I really did go, yeah, I acknowledge this feeling very well, and I'm stepping away from that. So, yeah, that's what I want to talk about today, because then it really was where, you know, we're all often in our lives, we're tethered to things. For me, it might sound like I'm being a little bit ambiguous, and I'm not going to talk about the people or the exact moment that I have been reflecting on. And to be honest, the reflection was quite short. Once upon a time, I would have sat in the feelings that I had for at least a week. That's just the mechanics of my mind. This time, because like I said, I really have made that conscious choice not to sit in those kind of feelings, it was a day. And even a day was enough time for me to go, fuck no. Do you know what I mean? Let me just have a quick sip of my drink. What can I put on to distract you while I do that? Yep. Look, yeah, I could do some ASMR, but ASMR? Is that what it is? Yeah. ASMR. But no, alas, no. So, yeah, I want to talk about this because this is the thing where you can, and I know I have, so I don't know if this resonates with you or not, but this is my feelings and thoughts around this. And if you happen to connect with what I'm saying, and in any way, shape or form, anything I say today might sound familiar to you, or you might go, fuck, shit, that's the reason why, then mate, that's all I can ask. That's really just, it might help someone. So, yeah, so for me, when I'm saying, I thought about this, and I thought about the cosmos, and I really thought about an astronaut. And if you know me, I love anything space related. I'm a NASA whore. Extreme. Look, I just love anything like that. Okay, my soul is aligned to the space and the ether and the vastness of the universe. May I say, it is something that really does grasp my imagination and curiosity very much. So you only have to show me a picture of the moon, to be honest, and I'm gone. I'm out. So yeah, I love all that. So for me, there was that analogy of just the astronaut, flying around in space and being tethered to the spaceship, and then really that analogy of being tethered to a group of people, or being tethered to a feeling or a thought, and then moving through that, well, exploring it first, which I've done a lot of explanation. I have done a lot of that too, exploration around a particular set of people and really how they make me feel, which, it comes back to that thing where you are in control of how you feel, believe it or not, and then how you react, believe it or not. It has been something that, as you get older and you get wiser and you get calmer, for me, most certainly, and you give yourself headspace and grace to feel the feelings and then acknowledge them and then decide what stays and what goes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about today. So for me, when, like I said, I can close my eyes and I can picture the comment that someone said or the look that they gave me, and then ruminated on a set of pieces of time over a set of 48 hours, shall we say, to then go, no, I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like that. And what's that feeling? Straight up vampire soul-sucking bullshit. That's the best way I can describe it. It really is. And, you know, I have been in places where I'm not, you know, like I've said, I'm not half full, not half empty kind of girl. I'm, you know, all about positive. No, I'm all about it. I'm all, you know, I'm in the positive lane. I'm not in the dundrums. Yes, in the sad sack lane, or try not to be, only because I function better in the positivity lane. We all have our moments, though, so don't get it twisted. I'm not all, you know, fairies, unicorns, rainbows, leprechauns, everything's golden, shit is good all the fucking time. Don't get it, like I said, do not get it twisted. There is moments where, you know, I will, probably like the other day, where I was feeling the feels and going, I don't like this feeling. And, yeah, why? I don't like it. And, yeah, like I just said, straight up, honest truth, vampire soul-sucking shit. And I think I've touched on this. I'm a very sensitive person, in the sense of I'm sensitive to my emotions. It is something that I do purposely regulate quite often, because if I didn't have any sense of regulation around my emotions, and don't think I don't allow myself plenty of time to feel the feels, as they say, to be more emotional. Like today, you know, I was watching a video and I was just letting the salty tears wash down my face in a beautiful, I don't know, scene of forgiveness. I don't know what I'm saying now. No, there were salty tears, to say, because I tasted them. They're quite salty. Anyway, getting distracted by my tears. But, yeah, don't think I don't feel comfortable being emotional. It's more that I do know that I have to emotionally regulate myself, because if I don't do that, it will and can spiral, basically, and that's more my mind just letting it overtake itself more than the emotion itself. Yeah, so there's a bit of that. There is a lot of emotional regulation, which is a good thing. For someone like myself who, has dealt with a lot of emotional challenges in their life, then there's nothing more empowering than emotional regulation and being confident in what that looks like for you, and being comfortable when you are happy to go there and just cry salty tears. And then there's also that empowerment to go, you know what, I'm not going to sit here and listen to your fucking shit. You're all fake as fuck, and goodbye. And then do a podcast and laugh about it. Let me have a sip of my drink. You know what? I pushed the button too early. You know what? This is a thing. Emotional regulation is fucking a great thing, actually. It's very empowering. It's hard to do if you're an emotional person, especially if you're a very empathetic and sensitive person, which I am. Let's give some examples. If I walk into a room, and I think I've talked about this in the past, if I walk into a room and everyone is sad, like a sponge, I will instantly become sad. I mean, most people will, But I will tell you, I will instantly, not just maybe kind of, sort of, I will. I am very in tune with people's emotions. I'm very in tune with people, really resonance and energy, not just in a small space, but even in a large space, even outside. It's quite a fascinating skill to have as a person. At the same time, there is many reasons why there's certain things I just don't do in my life, because it will, if unchecked, will suck the life force out of me. Dramatic. No, it will. So that was a bit of what was happening the other day, where I'm like, yeah, I recognize this feeling. I don't like this feeling, and get fucked. I'm stepping out. And then there's like a residual, like an airplane tail of the mist that comes out, when they're flying in the air. There's that residual essence that you kind of have to acknowledge and then let go. So there's a bit of that going on. So emotional regulation is something that's really the first thing that, if that's something you've never explored before, I'd certainly recommend to you that obviously speak to people that you trust. But, if you need assistance from someone like a psychologist or a psychologist, I say that twice, a psychologist, I don't, or a psychiatrist, or I don't know, anyone in that kind of profession, then do yourself a favour and have a good conversation about emotional regulation. Cognitive reframing is another one that comes to mind as well, where, again, I was kind of like, the analogy of the astronaut floating around tethered to the spaceship in space, and just reframing your mind, reframing your thoughts. This has been something that I've had to do throughout my life. I don't know, in its entirety, have I discussed this? I think I have. Look, it's been 3 years and there's been a lot of discussions on this podcast. Cognitive behavioural therapy is something that I've talked about in the past. It is something, a particular program, which was dialectical behavioural therapy, fancy, that I was enrolled in for a year, many, many beautiful moons ago, but still stands today, the test of time, to be honest, where I have learned multiple skills to reframe my cognitive synopsis, really, my thoughts and feelings, where, to really just change, I've interpret something some way and then reframe it into another. Instead of just sitting in the first option, go to option B. It's, obviously there was a period of time in my life it didn't work at all. And it's a learned skill, and like any skill, if you keep applying, not implying, A for apple, applying it does work. And obviously if you want it to, that's the other thing. I'm very strong-willed, so it is something where it has helped me greatly in reframing my thought processes, where, I could confidently say to you, once upon a time, if I experienced what I experienced the other day, I would easily fall into a place where I thought it was all about me, and it's not at all. It's about them and soul-sucking vampires. And that's the thing. You might, I laugh and kind of might sound contrite when I say these things, but it is a huge leap for someone where once upon a time I would have just sat in thinking it was all me. So, again, do yourself a favour. Which leads into rumination, which is a great one that I think I've something again that I've talked about where we all, look, I don't know if most people think the way or feel the way that I do. I know there would be, clearly. There wouldn't be any, psychologists or psychiatrists around otherwise. Just the way that my mind works, that sometimes I really do, I suppose you could call it a funk. But rumination doesn't have to be, and I'm going to say it negative. It doesn't necessarily need to be negative against the positive. I mean, we can all ruminate on positivity, really, let's be honest. But when I think about the word rumination, I suppose my mind instantly goes to, just ruminating on, that one thing that person said, or ruminating on that feeling that you felt, or, both, all of the above. And like for me, it wasn't, the rumination at this moment that I'm thinking of wasn't long, but was acknowledged quickly. But the rumination was on the feeling that I had the next day, where for a good portion of the day, like I said, vampire sucking shit. I felt sad. And not only that, I felt compromised, which is interesting when I think about that. I felt compromised. And, I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I'd been, I don't know, not attacked, because that sounds quite dramatic, but I just thought to myself, and I really had to stop myself and go, why am I feeling like this? And then I went, that's right, that's why. And then acknowledge that and let it go. So that's the thing. I didn't just stay in that place of rumination and let it go on and on and on. I did give myself some grace to go, why am I thinking this way or feeling this way? What is that thought or thought processes? And then going, okay, right. Remember when you did this, this and this around this and you made that very conscious choice not to do that? Then, for me it was a sense check, actually. I even said that to myself when I went past the thought of all that place of rumination, where I went, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, soul-sucking vampires, for the sense check that you just gave me, actually. Thank you. I actually appreciate that, because it, again, cements the reasons why I made the choices in my mind wholeheartedly. So was that. And then that leads to really rising above it all. That's what I did. I rose above the soul-sucking bullshit that was and is still in existence. And that's what, that feeling where, you actually are in control. And I've said this before, where, to my younger self and to anyone who listens to this podcast who's younger than me, and, you might be going through your own experiences right at this moment of time, or you may have or can acknowledge you have in the past, where to actually acknowledge and understand that you are in control, it is one of the biggest game changers is the word I'm looking for. It really is. It's not easy. If I was to say to you that if you, like myself, where you have dealt with or been in a place of depression, and I'm talking chronic depression and anxiety all at the same time, which is great, then, to control your tether and to understand that as a skill, and to even understand what that means in the first instance. And I suppose that comes back to cognitive, or for me, dialectical behavioural therapy, then, or any type of therapy really, but, obviously there was a lot of other stuff at the time that was going on, that sense of understanding that what the tether is and the control of said tether is, it's a game changer. So, yeah, again, if this sounds completely foreign to you, you might be listening to this podcast. This is the thing, I'm still a bit nasally. There's levels of nasalness. Is that a word? I don't think it is, but there is now. Created it. It's still happening. Anyway, get distracted by my own nasalness. Yes. If you've never had any psychotherapy, that's probably a good way. A good conversation to start with. If you have never had any psychotherapy in your life, okay, let's go there. And you have acknowledged that something's not right, and you hopefully, and I implore you if you haven't and you're listening right now, to go and see at least your general practitioner wherever you are and get some help, who can then route you to, again, people who can help you. And these are not simple things. These are hard things. This is hard, okay? This is not easy shit. It is, but it's not. It can be quite challenging if you've never dealt with any of this before. But if you are dealing with this, or even if you can listen to my voice right now and acknowledge this has happened to you in the past and you've felt or thought about these kind of things, then you know where I'm coming from. But, yeah, to get to a place after, a lot of stuff and really be in control of that tether that I'm referring to really not only see it but just acknowledge it and then decide what you want to do with it, if you want to hold on to it or cut it loose. Now, that's an interesting thing because I'm talking about freedom and I'm talking about agency. And for me, it's where I'm now, I don't know, again, I'm assuming that it is just life experience. It is through the beautiful moments and steps of time where I've had plenty of time in my entire 52 years to really explore all of this. Along the way, I've had some phenomenal psychotherapists to help me. I've had some shit ones. I've had some shit ones as well. And it's been a while since I think the last time I went to a psychologist regularly was, I'm trying to think, I think it was 3 years ago. Because I was having a moment. I'm not going to lie. And for a short period of time, I did see someone, a psychologist. And yes, it was helpful, but I stopped. I won't go into the reason, but it was enough to propel my understanding of where I was at the time. And also, yeah, I just let go, mate. I let it go. I cut loose and I gave myself some space. And it really was after this particular time that comes to mind where, about 3 years ago, was it 2? 3, approximately 3 years ago, that, yeah, there has been that level of self-development that has really remarkably increased. And like I said, with age, there is just that greater level of understanding. And it really has been where not only do I have the functionality to explore everything at a more emotionally regulated, cognitive reframing, reduced rumination mindset, how's that for you, that I have been able to go, I'm in control here. And it's a glorious feeling, may I say. It's empowering and it's life-changing. And not that I was completely out of control. There has been times in my life that I've had no control. I'm not going to sugarcoat it there. There has been times where I have had no control. But that, again, giving myself some grace here, that complete lack of control was because I was in major depression. And I think I've touched on that before. And that was a long time ago. But, yeah, I acknowledge now that, yeah, it really is in the last, and again, I think I've touched on this in the last year where I've been able to go, yeah, you know what? I'm not holding on to that. It's not. Guess what, boo? You can't suck my life force dry. It's what I'm saying. And I won't let you and blow me. It's not happening. And that is so empowering and so beautiful, and I love it. And yeah, I can only say to you, if you're not at that place, get some help so you can be at that place, because it's fucking a great place to be in, mate. If you have experienced any mental health challenges in your life where you've had to rise above it all, which is very difficult to do, and especially if you have dealt with depression and anxiety in your life, then you know how hard that can be. So, and I can tell you, hand on motherfucking heart, I can tell you how hard that is. So, yeah, to be at that place where you can just hold on or cut loose and you're actually in control of that mindset, mate. Good on fucking you if you are. Let me just... Yeah. Yeah, I'm applauding myself and I'm applauding. I am applauding all of you. If you are in that place and you know what I'm talking about, mate. It just is. And I've said this not that long ago. It's a place of peace. And I've worked fucking hard to get to here. Yeah, and it's a great place. So don't give up on yourself. That's what don't. And if you need help, fucking get some. Because I tell you right now, the place that I'm in right now is a fucking great one. And to not only see for that moment and talking about that one sentence that sparked this entire podcast today, to fly like an eagle, fly higher than the arrows that are being shot at you, which is a beautiful image if you imagine an eagle flying in the sky and just that sharp death instrument coming at you, and you swerve and you miss it because, mate, you're better than that, because you fucking got your shit together. It's a great feeling. And that's the thing as well, where, detaching from these toxic people, or detaching from these toxic cycles that we all get in. I've been in it. If you haven't, mate, I will. Oh, look, I acknowledge that not everyone's probably been through some of the stuff that I've been through in my life, but we've all, again, I also acknowledge a lot of people go through a lot of shit worse, or some people go through no shit at all. Wow. Yay. Living for you. But yeah, detaching from toxic cycles, mate, basically it radically can expand your perspective, eh? This is the thing. Like I said, that moment where I was sitting there and I said something and someone gave me a look and said something, and I'm like, it was literally, I could hear the switch in my brain go click. I'm not lying. I felt the click and I'm like, no. a resounding no. And then I left this space, this space that I was in at the time. And the next day I ruminated. And then I had that, remember when you said to yourself this, if this happens, and you will do that. And mate, I fucking did that. And then I watched that YouTube video, and then I heard the beautiful Andy talk about the eagle flying higher than the arrows, and he just wrapped it up in a beautiful, spiritual bow for me. It really did. And these are the things that build resilience. There has been, you go through these experiences. We all do. Oh, I don't know if you don't. Again, lucky you. Most human beings go through these type of experiences. You know what it does? It builds resilience. Resilience is a beautiful thing, mate. There's strength. There's obviously there's physical strength. I'm talking about inner strength. Sounds contrite, I know, but resilience is a real cracker, mate. To go through some shit, create some resilience building, come out the other side, rise above it all, and strengthen your self-trust and your inner stability rather than the external validation of it all. Mate, I fucking raise my tequila glass to you right now. Like I said, this is hard. This is hard work, mate. But it's work that is so rewarding. And I can say to you at 52, when you get to the place that I'm at it right now in this moment, I am fucking blessed. I am feeling proud of myself. I give myself a pat on the back. I hug myself and think, fuck, you're a fucking legend, mate. Because I've been through some fucking shit. And right now, through the last 3 years where I've really had to do a hard look at myself in the mirror and really explore some shit, then, to sit here today confidently knowing I've risen above it all, I acknowledge when there's something happening that I don't want to align to and I know what to do. There's nothing better, mate. It truly isn't anything better than to describe the feeling of rising above. And for me as well, it's not just myself. I will say to you, it's also about connection. And I've talked about this as well. I've talked about that in my podcast about community and connecting to higher self, the podcast being titled Surrender, where it is that connection to something bigger than myself as well. Look, I'm not going to say, well, actually I will say I did all that. I'm not going to say someone magically saved the day and made everything better and made me a stronger person. I fucking did that. No word of a lie there. I will say to you, though, that I have opened my heart most definitely in the last year and most definitely recently, going to Bali and going to Japan this year and really exploring some time on my own. Also exploring some of the things that just inspire my soul, inspire my core essence of a human being, like this podcast, like creating Highlander, like creating, just transcendent feelings that really do come with acknowledging yourself and your piece in all of this, but also then aligning to, a higher consciousness. That's such a big word. Big words. Remember when I did that podcast about words? I should link that. I should listen to it because, I love, anyway, getting distracted by big words. Big words. Yeah, it's when you align to something outside of yourself as well, I don't think it takes the pain away, and I don't know if it does that, but there's a greater sense of ease. Can I say that? Probably. Well, I'm saying it. What am I saying? Yes, there is a greater sense of ease around everything that you are going through. It certainly is something that I've had moments in my life when I've, gone down the spiritual journey in certain aspects. I don't think I've been at a place that I'm at today. Again, I don't know if that's an age thing or, of course it has to be because, you just do. Have always been a very open-minded person. Perhaps I've never been more open-minded with my own thoughts. That's probably what it is. Open-minded with other people. And I would, again, confidently say that I've always lived in that lane because I think that's a beautiful place to be as a human being, just to be open to other people and who they are for who they are. I cannot say enough about that. But, yeah, I think perhaps right now in reflection, just being open to myself and my own spiritual path around higher consciousness, whatever that is, and really feeling that and letting that come in more and being comfortable with that and being comfortable talking about it. And it is something that I will talk about more and more as I continue. I know I'm getting sidetracked now, but for me, my trip in Japan this year, which I'll probably talk about a bit more in depth prior to going, and certainly I will do some podcast recording whilst over there as well. It is in part a spiritual journey for me. There is things that I want to get in touch with more while I'm over there, not only in regards to Highlander, but, just myself and exploring what that will feel like. And it could only be, for me, I don't know, just even more positivity that I can bring into my life and hold on to. And, it's funny when you, go to a place where you explore something that has always been so unique and scary and confusing, and, there's that level of trust. That's probably the big one for me. And then you really just let the door open. It's really, it is and has been empowering, and I look forward to being even more empowered by going to Japan and spending 2 weeks there and doing some of the work on myself and sharing that with everybody while I'm over there as well. I can't fucking wait, mate. I can't fucking wait. So, that's what I wanted to talk about today, is really that metaphor really of that cosmonaut or that astronaut floating around and being tethered, and really that place where you go through self-development, which is hard. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'll try not to. These things are hard. If you've never had any type of psychotherapy, which I have, yes, it makes it a little bit easier for me to understand the processes that I kind of need to follow. But I'm also aware that of times where, like I said a couple of years ago, where I couldn't follow my own processes entirely on my own and I needed help. So that help was seeing my GP. That help was then seeing a psychologist privately, being on a mental health plan. Even though that plan was for a short period of time, it gave me some room to then really explore and then go down a certain path where, you know, honestly, as I sit here today in the podcast studio talking about this, I cannot stress enough the level of honor and empowerment I have to then acknowledge, you know, like I said, I'm a fucking sensitive motherfucker. Very empathetic. I've talked about this labeling. Drives me insane. Yes, I am very conscious. If I am in a space, any space, I will read the room and I will feel everyone. It's just the thing. If I go there. Oh, my phone's ringing. Give me 1 second. And I'm back. That was my beautiful husband advising me that he has finished work and he's on his way home. Awesome. I'm very happy about that. So I'm very close to wrapping up. I think I just wanted to mention as well that there is the empowerment of, you know, exploring all these things, you know, rising above, rumination, understanding, do you want to be tethered to this or that, or you want to completely float away into the cosmos, which I will say to you, quite frankly, more and more it is a thought that I am having in my mind where as I move through, you know, really a place of self-discovery and spirituality that seems to become or is becoming, you know, an increasing thought and mindset in my mind, and really going to myself, what, you know, I think I've been very honest in this conversation where I just want peace. And right now I feel that. And I've worked hard to really be at a place to feel peace. And I want more of it. And I know what that actually looks like. Yeah, I actually do know what that looks like, what would actually bring me peace. It's where I do need to, as I sigh deeply, really make that decision or decisioning around, you know, how much of my, you know, me as a person just park in, you know, part A, and how much of the rest of me I park in part B, and sitting comfortably in that. Because I will, as I've probably described to you previously, that it wasn't even, and it was more one way that it really wasn't serving me at all, and I'm not going to be at that motherfucking place ever again. Trust and believe that. So this is the thing. These conversations, what am I trying to get at? They are challenging. They're difficult. If you need help, you know, perhaps this podcast and listening to this podcast episode today will spark something in you to have a conversation with a loved one. May it be your partner, may it be your sister or brother, may it be just a good friend. If you need more assistance, then I implore you to get that assistance. And even though it may feel whack, hard, challenging, weird, defeating even, do yourself a fucking favour and put yourself first and get some motherfucking help if you need it. So, like I said, a good place to start would be going to see your doctor, your GP, if you need to go down that route. But if you can get the assistance you need by just speaking to your loved one, and you have that kind of relationship where you can be completely open and you can get the guidance that you're seeking, then, mate, I'm very happy for you actually, because it's not always the way. So, yeah, do yourself a favour, really think about it. Like I said, it wasn't a podcast that was on the radar These are the kind of conversations I probably haven't talked about in some time, actually, in regards to, well, I've talked about spirituality, don't get it wrong. I'm just going to have a quick sip of my drink. Give me 1 second. Well, I just made a quick drink as well while I was speaking to I spoke to my husband, made a quick drink, and then came back. It's a bit, how you going? It's a bit meaty. That's sort of the description. I don't know. It's stronger than usual and I like it. It really is a glorious place when you get to a place, and I'm at the moment. And if you know, you know. And if you want to know a little bit about my journey, there's multiple podcasts that I've done about this. But like I was saying, I haven't really touched on the mental health side of things for quite some time. I am very cognizant. Is that the word? Cognizant. Oh, fuck, that's a hard word to say. Cognizant. Well, I don't know why I use such big words. I just like them, okay? I fancy. Yes, and I think I've also said this as well, where there has been moments where I can be my own worst distractor, in the sense of, you want to talk about depression and then afraid that you're going to be depressed, which sounds ridiculous, but if, again, you know what I'm talking about. Mental health is such a vast subject to touch on and to speak about, and to be vulnerable enough to broadcast your own mental health challenges, journeys, shit, all encompassing on a platform like this, where you really are open to just all of it. I'll be honest with you, that doesn't scare me. It's more me just scaring myself. I really couldn't give a fuck what anyone else thought, to be honest, at this point in this point in time today. It's more where, there is moments where I don't purposely go into that headspace, because I feel it can lead into a darker place, and it's not going to. Being very dramatic sounding here, but it's because there's that shift in my mind that probably leads to a darker part of me, or a challenging part of me, which did take a lot of work to get out of, that I don't often go there. But I do recall listening to myself, thinking out loud here, one of the big premises of this podcast, not only about communication and using your voice, which is very important to me, integrally in my soul, basically, is talking about mental health and being very open and honest about these types of conversations from someone who has had some challenges and has a vast array of experiences that I've experienced along the way, and really can give some personal insight. And it's just my personal insight. It's not anybody else's. This is my experiences, my journey, my thoughts, my feelings, etc. So, like I said, if you are listening to this and any of these subjects or things that I'm talking about today, topics of conversation, if they do resonate with you, and it does bring something up for you, then, like I said, talk to someone you love, get some help if you need help, even just have a conversation. Again, this is something that I've discussed as well, apart from the piece around communication for me and how important that is to me, about just being yourself and it's been a journey for me to be my authentic self. Full ball, all out there. I don't give a fuck. You can all get fucked. Even the soul-sucking vampires. Once upon a time, I wouldn't even dare to speak like that. No. What is the point? What is the point of denying yourself your authentic self? Sit on that and ruminate on that shit. What is the point of not being your authentic self? I'm repeating that because, mate, I know, again, thinking back and reflecting on a conversation I had with someone else this week, and something they said really hit me hard and completely separate to the vampires. By the way, this person was not and is not one of them. Yeah, you got to get in with it. Get on with it. Just let it all go, mate. Just enjoy your life and explore the things you want to explore and do the things you want to do. And if you need help, get some. And, reside in a place that brings you joy and peace and happiness, or reside in that place and sit down and think about what you fucking want and go there and live in that place. And just, if you are spiritually inclined like I am and you are exploring what that looks like and you're opening your heart and your mind and your consciousness to that, there is that additional beautiful layer that, for me, it just even expands some of the things that I've been working on to even a greater sense, a greater height. I really do feel like an astronaut floating away and untethered. I'm going to cry now. Feeling like I'm trying not to cry. I don't know why I'm trying not to. I just let myself cry. There was that premise this week of just standing true to what you have decided for yourself, but the beautiful metaphor of being the astronaut in space and cutting the tether and and being okay. And being okay. The end. As the salty tears washed down my face for the second time today. Yeah, if you... Yeah, just be kind to yourself, eh? Acknowledge, work on yourself. I can't recommend it enough. Get help if you need it. You are in control. That's a great one, especially in regards to emotional regulation. If you want to let the salty tears run down your face like they are right now, let them. And I'm not sad, I'm just in touch with my emotions. And, yeah, thank you. I need to stop. I need to stop crying because now there's way too much salty tears. They actually taste really salty anyway. I don't know. Maybe I need to drink more water, probably. Anyway, thank you to those who do, and I will say this and I say it all the time, I am truly grateful to those who do listen to my podcast. I have had an uplift in the people who are listening to my podcast, and it really does warm my heart. It is when I'm saying to you, thinking about where I am, like I said, there's a level of peace that I'm feeling right now in my life. I'm bringing it back. How beautiful is that? Stop crying. Emotional regulation. No, live for all to see and hear. Well, not to see, but to hear. It is, this podcast means, and I'll say it and I'll say it every fucking time, this podcast means the world to me. It really is the biggest creative outlet that I have. like I said, I've seen the uplift. I really do appreciate it. I want to do more. I know where I want this podcast to go, and trust and believe when I say I make things happen, things happen. And there's a bit of me and there's a bit of spirit and there's a bit of just what is, and I'm happy with that. So thank you. Truly grateful. If you want to listen to this podcast anytime, you can obviously stream this podcast on your favourite streaming platforms. Spit it out. Spotify is probably my favourite, apart from Buzzsprout, who obviously, supports this podcast. Is the streaming platform, but, Spotify and Apple Podcasts is where you can primarily down this podcast. If you want to reach out to me, you can anytime via my email address. I'll spit it out. My email address being info@thetequilahour.com.au. Like I said, there is some changes. I'm getting there. I mean, this week, for example, I sent out a media kit to someone. I don't know who I am. So you know what? I am planning things. So yeah, I look forward to many, many, many more episodes like this one today. Again, grateful to those who do take the time to listen. Have a great weekend. I'm actually going to do another podcast, so bitch what? And I will catch you on the next one. Be kind to yourself. See ya. Bye.